Sonic Forces. Success. Chapter 5. Failing doesn't mean giving up. Gadget sat slunked in a random chair, staring at the floor of their new underground HQ. It was several feet below the surface, sturdy and rather well protected. They had been there for the past few weeks since Mobius's unfortunate surrender to Eggman. Gadget could still remember it like it was yesterday. 1 month ago, Gadget didn't stop running. He didn't stop his feet, fleeing through the enemy territory, all the while his tears falling behind him and his mind focused on one thing. He was too late. He couldn't get the horrifying image out of his head. The picture of Sonic, their hero, disappearing into the black void of space, actually looking terrified. Scared. Gadget hadn't ever seen that look on his face whenever he was watching him on TV or otherwise. Never thought he would ever see that face on him, period. But now it had happened, and all he could do was stand and watch helplessly. He was too late, he was too late. His mind repeated. He eventually found himself in a room full of ships, and dived in the nearest one, thankful he hadn't ran into any robots or enemies during his escape. Whether it was because Eggman was letting him go, or they hadn't caught up to him yet, he wasn't sure. Gadget just needed to get out of there before any minds changed. With shaky hands, he pressed the button that turned on the ship, mentally slapping himself for crushing his communicator during his escape. He really could have used someone to talk to then to calm him down, because everything looked like a blurring mess before him. The familiar and firm voice of his commander would have helped in this situation. It always had. Too late for that now. He shone through the opening doors to his exit and freedom, thankful that he was taught at least some things about flying a ship by a professional. It was one of the requirements to join the resistance in case something like this happened. He kept his eyes on Mobius, ignoring the pointless space battle that raged about him, trying his best to stop his tears.
Rookie, respond! Are you okay? Where's Sonic?
Knuckles shouted into the communicator for the millionth time, fearing the worst.
Knuckles, that's enough! You already know you can't contact him. His comm was destroyed. We're just gonna have to wait.
Knuckles stared at her, knowing that she was right in hating it. He closed his eyes and turned away.
If something happens to him...
You don't know if anything did. He could still be alive. He might have dropped it by accident or something. And even if something did, it would have been for the greater good. Even if he was still young.
That's not my only problem. We sent him out there to retrieve Sonic. If something happened to him, then something also might have happened to Sonic as well. We all know he's our only hope of winning this war. This resistance just isn't strong enough without him. We all know that. I know you do. If we were to lose him, the world would give up, and I would have failed.
Amy went up to him as he turned away again, placing a hand on his shoulder in an attempt to comfort him.
Knuckles, you should know that giving up is never the answer to anything. You've been doing so great as our leader, and I would never lose faith in you. Nor would anyone else in the Resistance. I believe Sonic will be saved, and I know Gadget is doing just fine, and even if things were to go differently, then I'd still stick through with you, to the end.
So would I, and I'm sure the Chaotix think so too, as well as Rouge.
Knuckles looks up at them both, a small and somewhat sad smile on his face.
I'm not sure why I deserve friends like you, but thanks.
That's when the door opened, and in came a stumbling, gasping, and panicked Gadget into the room. All heads turned to him as he fell, and they all moved to him at once, relief and worry in their voices as they talked over each other, asking him questions at once until Knuckles shouted at them to shut it and back away. Amy and Silver did so, looking somewhat sheepish.
Now, tell me, what happened? Are you okay?
Knuckles asked, placing a hand on the rookie's shoulder as he noticed tears falling onto the ground. Gadget shook his head, shutting his eyes tightly, his face scrunched in pained sorrow.
Are you hurt? No, it's not that.
Gadget ran out of breath to speak again and bent over gasping. Knuckles patted his back.
It's all right. Take it easy. Breathe.
They waited a few minutes for his breathing to return to normal somewhat, and for him to calm down before Knuckles asked him again. Gadget still didn't look up at him, ears flattened to his head.
Commander, I couldn't do it. I was too late. I was too late.
Too late? What do you mean?
Knuckles' heart jumped in panic. He didn't like the sound of that. The wolf's eyes finally met his leader's, showing a deep sorrow and guilt that only he seemed to understand.
I was too late. To save Sonic. They succeeded in shooting Sonic out in space and
His voice hitched and he didn't say any more. He looked back down. Amy gasped and Silver breathed a quiet,
No!
Knuckles could only stare at the rookie, not accepting why he was hearing, hating what he was hearing. At the same moment, his communicator beeped. He scrambled to it. Reading it was the Chaotix and answered with a sharp and quiet,
What? Well, I thought you should hear this. I'm not sure if you're gonna like it. I don't care. Whatever it is, it better be better than what I learned. I'm putting you on speaker.
He set it down and turned the volume all the way up as Vector protested.
Actually, I don't think that's such a good idea. Just show me.
He wasn't sure why he was so intent on hearing what the crocodile was going to show him, especially since he knew what it will be. Maybe it was for confirming purposes, he wasn't sure.
All right.
There was a second or two of shuffling sounds, then sure enough, came Eggman's loud and victorious voice echoing in an intercom. They didn't need to listen to what he was saying to know what it was about, but they did anyway. They listened in sorrow, horror, anger, Amy bending down to Gadget and hugging him. He sobbed into her shoulder, the evil doctor's whooping laughter echoing in the HQ, in the ears of the listeners, all over the world and ocean civilizations below.
Sonic the Hedgehog is no more!
Gadget was shaken out of his memories when the door to the room opened, a dirty Knuckles entering with a sigh and wiping his brow with the back of his hand.
Geez, that princess is having us do overkill work. Who would have thought?
He sat next to Gadget, who turned his face away in guilt and sorrow. He had been doing so the past month.
Still sulking, I see.
I'm not sulking.
Gadget lied. Knuckles rose a brow.
Really? 'Cause you've been sitting in here for the past hour doing nothing but looking depressed. I can tell when you're lying to me.
Curse you and your accurate presumptions. You know what? You would be too if you had been the one who could have saved the only home for the world, and that failed at that.
Gadget felt his tears build up again. He became frustrated.
I couldn't. I can't deal with this right now.
He stood and walked away, planning to head somewhere where he can be alone.
You know, if you think about it, I was that hope too.
Gadget stopped. He turned his head to Knuckles, who still had a twinkle in his eyes. The Gadget couldn't tell why. Knuckles shrugged.
Yeah, I was the resistance leader. I was the one making the plans and agreed for you to be sent out there when I knew it was, well, dangerous. Even if I knew that it wasn't the right decision. Through you, I failed to do the job right. And so I failed the world.
Gadget blinked, then looked down sadly.
I guess I never thought of it like that.
What did he expect you to? But even after that, I always kept one thing in mind. Never give up. Even if things don't look good at all. You know why?
Because that's what Sonic would say.
Right. And you think he would approve of you doing so? Especially if it's because of him?
The rookie hesitated, then shook his head. He knew exactly what Sonic would have said to him, but even so,
it still hurts.
As it should. Believe me, everyone's hurting.
Knuckles stood and walked up to Gadget and placed a hand on his shoulder.
The failing doesn't mean giving up. The world is needing us, now more than ever. All we can do now is try harder and try to be better. We keep fighting, even if it costs us our lives. That's what got you into the resistance in the first place, remember? You did that same thing before. my all shaking like a leaf, but still, we've got to do that again. Can you do that with me?
Knuckles held out a hand to Gadget. The wolf stared at it, blinking back tears at the Echina's inspiring speech. He gave a watery smile, knowing he was right, and took his hand in a firm shake.
You got it.
Good. Now enough with all this mushy stuff. We got some things to do. I'm sure Princess Sally is wondering where on Mobius we are.
Well, she is quite a handful.
Knuckles gave a hearty laugh, slinging an arm around him and leading him down the hallway.
That is very true, Rookie. Very true indeed.